Hello, everybody, and welcome to.
Wow. Then
I
again,
wonder what this is.
Sorry.
Hell yeah!
Sorry, I missed that bit. What was the show called?
something brought to you by Konami.
Alright, everyone, welcome to the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. And we brought
the game's over already.
and we brought in our friend Deji, who's kind of the expert, kind of. Anyway,
Yeah,
name
Mayor.
Leonardo, age 16, height 5 feet, weight 155 pounds, weapon katana blade. Leader of the boys, if he gets serious, his sword starts slicing everything in sight, including salami pizza.
I thought Raph was the leader.
No,
No.
Leonardo's the leader.
That's
Oh my
Leonardo.
god, you're listening to the...
Raphael himself knows that he shouldn't be the leader, but anyway.
He's only the leader in a new show.
Nunchucks, party dude and pizza connoisseur extraordinaire. Takes occasional break from partying to smash. It's okay.
Oh, hi, Sam Rico.
Donatello, age 15, weight 4 feet. Yeah, not from both staff. Hippest machine freak this side of Shellville. Avoids sushi like a bad case of rust.
Good.
Now we have Raphael, who's also age 15. So only Leonardo is 16. Interesting. Parasai, wild boy of the bunch. Raw energy can finish off a foot or a pizza before you can say yeah. Alright, so the way this game works is, unfortunately, you cannot pick which choice you want to play. Instead, the first player plays as Leonardo, the second player plays as Michelangelo, the third player plays as Donatello, and the fourth player plays as Raphael. I don't understand why can't each player choose their turtle, but whatever.
Maybe in the arcade machine.
Oh, what a shock!
maybe
April's in trouble again.
Maybe on the arcade machine, you pick a controller and that's the turtle you play as.
So yeah, April has been kidnapped. So let's
Surprise.
meet all the foot soldiers.
And the
That's
building's on
interesting because-
fire.
Is it just because the version of the show I watched the most, I don't recall April ever getting kidnapped.
You watched the 2003 version, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, remember, Dubs, the original show was the first cartoon, at least. It was made in the 80s. It was made in a much different time.
Oh, she gets
Hey,
into
was
trouble.
it-
Woman
Eddie-
being
Yeah, that's
useful,
actually my
that's
favorite.
hilarious.
I
That was
didn't
one of my
deeply
favorite
virtual
jokes.
about the source material.
I'm
Yeah,
so...
one
sorry.
of my favourite jokes in Turtles Forever was, "We have to save April. We do that at least 5 times a day."
Alright.
Although
And then
my
she gets
favourite
kidnapped
one-
by a giant banana.
Although my favorite one was the 80s Turtles constantly breaking the fourth wall, and it got to the point where Hon was like, "Why'd you keep doing that? Who are you talking to? There's no one there."
Honestly, my experience with the franchise has been so limited. Surprisingly enough, the 80s show never managed to catch on me, even though it had all the right elements to do it.
Do not resist us.
Especially since, you know, the characters are named after the Italian Renaissance.
Well,
I've also
doesn't mean honestly, this is the thing. Similar to Libs, I only watched mostly the 2003 show. That's the one I watched the most. Even it was practically, and out of all everyone, the only characters I actually cared about was Casey Jones. So
Really?
As for me, the only other things I've watched were the Michael Bay produced Turtles movies in cinemas, even.
Interesting.
I
They were-
haven't seen.
they-
Similar to the
they were all-
Bayformers, I haven't seen them, but
They were
I heard
actually-
mixed things.
I thought they were actually kind of okay.
They're fine, honestly. They're not the
Yeah,
best
they're
thing.
fine.
They're not the best thing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles related, but honestly, they actually do feel like
honestly-
something that I could see being an introduction to the franchise.
But it's like, if the designs weren't bad, I'm sure more people would talk about it in a much more positive light.
I think that's why people like the sequel better. Actually, was Michael Bay even
Yeah, the
directing the sequel?
He was involved in the sequel. He was only a producer, though.
Well, it was only ever a producer in those movies. He was never any writer or
He
director.
was
Shredder.
originally supposed to be the director.
No!
Oh snap!
I've also only seen the 2003 show.
I have finally got one up on those turtles.
No. Remember, have you ever seen Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Grace?
Yes.
Remember, he's voiced by Uncle Phil. You have to do
Tonight I dine on chicken.
I love that show,
Donald
Prince of
Trump.
Bel-Air.
Who
Yeah,
doesn't?
hey, that was a line in the Bay movie. Okay, it was in Japanese, but still.
That reminds me, who
Let's
owns
make-
the rights to
I
that
love-
show anyway?
I love the meme how, again, one of the funniest things to do with is go to YouTube and find people who use, who do either clips of Shredder with audio clips of Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or the reverse, where they have Uncle Phil saying lines of the Shredder.
What's your
Joe,
question,
which,
Paramount?
Yeah, Nickelodeon owned the series, like how they bought Garfield recently.
Oh, so
We'll talk about the
Nickelodeon
game
owns
specifically.
Bel-Air.
Yeah, energy. Yeah, pizza restores your life. Gee, well, that makes sense. Well, of course. All right. So basically, as you can see, everybody, this is yet another typical arcade beat 'em up. If you've played one of these, you already know what to expect.
I can see how good the animations are for this.
Oh no!
one.
Jeff, if there's one thing about this game that's flawless, is the presentation. This game perfectly captures the source material it's adapting, specifically the '80s cartoon.
Gotta give Konami credit. Back in the day, they knew how to make a pretty smooth arcade game.
Also, Jova,
What?
NBC. There's your answer.
Ah. Obviously not owned by
Anyway.
Disney, otherwise it would have probably been on Disney Plus.
Unfortunately, Tail, unlike the Asterix game, which was a very well-designed game and even made with the same engine, I don't know if it's the same developers, but I can tell from the booting sequence that it is the same engine. Unfortunately, this game is a bit more overly simplistic in terms of the gameplay. There's only two buttons, one for jumping and one for attacking, and you can press both of them for a special attack. And that's really it. Unfortunately, there's no alternate weapons, there's no any kind of special moves. You're basically it's a very, very typical button masher. That's basically it.
Considering the arcade panorama can be more forgiving and say this is a good starting point if you're getting to the beat 'em up genre.
Yeah, this was the first ever TMNT game. At least I think it was.
Even in general,
Dude, the weapon-
This
If
predated
you-
even the original NES game.
if you have never tried a beat 'em up before, and this is a good starting point due to how simple it is, I guess.
Again, this is one of those cases where the primary appeal of this game is if you were a kid back in when it was their prime of their popularity. Yeah, this was basically because this arcade game was very successful. It brought in a lot of quarters, because remember Turtle Mania was at its peak at the time. So.
Unlike most arcade games, I could actually see people coming back to this game. Like, well, I mean, it's relatively simple, and sometimes simple does work out well.
It does, Joe, but the problem is, I'm playing this with my brother, and my brother didn't grow up with the Turtles. He's not, I mean, it's not that he hates them, it's just that he never grew up with them and he was never interested. So, to him, the only real appeal here would be the gameplay, and the gameplay is, this is one of those cases, Joe, where you have to be a Turtles fan to really enjoy this game, because the gameplay, there are much better arcade beat-em-ups than this one. And
That
don't
I
get me wrong,
can agree with.
Don't get me wrong. This one is perfectly functional. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just that it's not like let's say Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs had weapons you could take and use. You weren't just button mashing. There were alternate ways of attacking the enemy. Here, no, you're just mashing the attack button. That's all it is. Deji, have you ever played this one?
No, I've only played 2 TMNT games. Turtles in Time, obviously. And the TMNT Back to the Sewers on the Game Boy.
So I guess you're more of a comics and show fan?
Well, the thing is, with TMNT, my first exposure to it was through that video game. And I did remember watching the second movie as a kid. But it's like, I didn't really get into it until the 2013.
Also, Deji question: which Turtles in Time?
The SNES port or the original arcade version?
SNES.
Or the 2009 movie?
Yeah.
SNES.
Don't get me wrong, the SNES port of that game is a very respectable port for the time. However, I will still be doing the arcade version because it's still the definitive one.
Wait, which one is better? Turtles in Time on the SNES or Hyperstone Heist on the Genesis?
Remake.
Well,
Who's this guy?
I would argue
That's
both games are on the
Baxter, I
same level.
believe.
Honestly, Deji, I would argue both games are on the same level. To be honest, I don't. Each of them is basically using the same kind of gameplay. So really, it's just 2 TMNT games. They're really great. So But like, if I had to pick one, I guess Turtles in Time, because there's more variety in the levels you visit.
Yes, Joe.
Yes, Joe.
To answer your question, Tio, the character we're fighting is Baxter, the one who
Okay.
makes the
Yeah.
mouse nabbers.
Yes.
The Mousers.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's the thing too. See, the 80s cartoon is classic 80s cheese at its finest.
Fun fact.
Oh,
Fun
I can
fact.
imagine that.
Fun fact, in the 2003 show, this ever so comedic character turns into a more tragic character who wants to
Fun
die
fact,
but gets his brain stuck in a robot because people just refuse to let the guy die.
Fun fact, did you know who voiced Raphael in the 80s cartoon?
Cam Clark.
No.
One of them was voiced by
No.
Cam Clark. I know that.
Rob Paulson,
Oh, okay.
aka Yucca Warner.
Wait, are you sure he was Raphael? I thought he was.
Yeah, he was. He was Raphael in the
I still-
in the
I
80s
know-
show, and
I
then
know
in
that Cam
2012
Clark
they got him to voice Donatello. They even reference it in the crossover.
Yeah.
So he's Raphael in the 80s show, but Donatello later.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
usually people tend to remember him more for Donatello.
Well, it's because Joe, remember, Rob
More
Paulson
recent.
Rob Paulson only became famous with Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. Most people.
And Metal Gear Solid.
And most people didn't bother figuring out that it was actually through TMNT that he first became like a big voice actor.
Well, people recognized him for that. It's just, again, they recognize him more as Donatello. And which show was he Donatello on?
2012.
The 2012 one, yeah.
Oh, that
Really
one.
just- oh my god. I thought Dwebs was the one with bad memories.
At Dead
There,
Name
there,
Call.
there you go.
Also,
there you
it's
go.
hard to hear with all people talking over you.
Also, there you go. The Cam Clark voiced Leonardo in the original cartoon.
Yeah,
There you go.
there you go. It's one of those things.
Personally, my favorite Donatello is Sam Riegel.
I wonder why.
Wonder why.
Well, because it's a 2003 show, that's why.
Sure, we'll go with that. All right, now time to take down Bebop and Rocksteady once and for all.
So, Dej, what's your overall
at the same time.
experience with the franchise aside from the video games, obviously?
I watched the 2003 show. I watched the 2012 one. I'm reading the IDW comics,
Nice.
which are actually really good.
Looking forward to that inevitable Sonic and TMNT crossover.
It's gonna be My Little Pony first, you know it.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, well,
Of course.
sorry, Des. Right now, MLP are busy crossing over with Transformers. No, I'm not kidding.
Written by Ian Flynn.
Yep.
Oh god.
You're doomed this time, Turtles.
You know, one thing that's interesting about the series is how long two or later on one of the original creators was still involved in it to some extent. For the longest time, both Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, but then in around 2000, Eastman just got sick of it and sold his stake to Laird, who
Let's move
carried
it.
on the series. He was even an
Leo, what
advisor.
are you doing?
He was even an advisor in the 2003 show.
Let's get to that
Yeah.
Secret Factory.
And even though he sold it to Paramount / Nickelodeon in 2009, he still
You
kind
mean
of
Viacom, not Paramount.
same thing.
Oh
he
wait,
still
Paramount's a Viacom company?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
well, now it's Viacom CBS.
Well, at the time.
Yeah.
Holy shit,
Semantics.
holy shit,
Apparently-
miss out your faces.
You know,
We
okay,
tried
okay. You know what?
Apparently, Eastman and Laird still write for the comic every now and again. But I think it's the different versions.
You know, I gotta ask, what kind of ninjas carry around blunt sledgehammers going around slowly and explosives
And missiles
missiles?
with their own hands instead of actual bazooka.
At
Well,
this
remember-
point, you kind of
well,
fail to become ninjas, and you're more like samurai.
That's the thing, Joe. Like in the 80s cartoon, at least, Shredder basically stopped giving any kind of shit about his ninja background and everything, and he's just a plain old criminal.
Well, that's because, you know, he was going for more of the mutant avenue sort of things at that point in time.
Oh wait, Joe, are you talking about, speaking of crossovers, the TMNT are currently crossing over with Power Rangers in the comic book.
Nice.
Makes sense.
And now recently on DVD and Blu-ray they released the back crossover with Batman.
Hasn't that already been out for at least a few months now?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Although I can can imagine a hell of a lot of red tape trying to get that past both Warner Brothers and Nickelodeon.
I love
Well, you'd be surprised, Jim, because there's actually
sometimes
several
it can be
comic
more
books.
easy if both parties are okay
Fun
with it
fact.
immediately.
Like
Fun
if
fact,
if it's Disney, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yes,
Honestly.
Pedro?
Fun fact, a lot of the sound effects that, remember this was Konami's first TMNT game, a lot of the sound effects that they made for this game were reused not only in the sequel, but in a lot of TMNT games that they've made. For example, that thing that they say when they die shell-shocked, the Tournament Fighter's Fighter that we did a couple years back, they also say the turtles also say shell-shocked when they get defeated. So again, so basically this game kind of set up the framework for all of Konami's TMNT games for the following years.
Hmm.
And now
Rocket skateboards.
because it's radical.
Of course.
Dude.
Well, from what I know of the show, these are probably, idealized by Raphael. Sorry, no, Donatello. My bad, it's Donatello the Tech Nerd.
And as you can see, Joe, every time we put a coin in the arcade, we have to hear the turtles say "Kawabunga." So
Is that for each player? Like,
for each player, yes. Every time one of the 4 players puts in a coin, "Kawabunga."
Well, from what you told me, Pedro, the actual voice acting was done internally by the developers.
Yeah, they didn't get the actors from the show. Instead, the developers themselves did the voices, and you can tell because the voice acting is so cheesy. Like earlier, for
I
example.
suppose it wasn't necessary to actually pay for the actors for this.
Oh no, I'm not denouncing for it. The voice acting is all the more hilarious for it anyway, so I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that, like for example, at the opening cutscene where Splinter's like, "Hold on, hang on, April. Come on, you can even try to sound like Splinter."
Jesus Christ, the foot is having so many missiles on its vehicles.
More DACA.
I love how even they are using skateboard.
God,
Can't
Andy,
beat 'em.
And you just want to
Join
give them a fair fight.
As fair a fight with missile-dropping helicopters can be.
Yeah.
That is a very resilient bridge.
It's the Manhattan Bridge.
It's seen a lot
Oh,
of
geez.
stuff!
Don, get better with your driving. Come on, let's bust this joint.
Let's burst this joint.
Oh no, Splinter has been kidnapped. We gotta save him.
Again.
Hey, you know One Piece is a bit show.
You know, this also kind of, considering where the game is going, they're probably trying to, do a little throwback to that particular arc from the 80s show where Splinter is indeed kidnapped and taken into the Technodrome, so the Turtles have to go there and save him. So, yeah, that probably
Let's
is
see.
inspired by that episode.
Let's see.
Hey,
first,
guys.
let's see. First, April's been kidnapped. Then Splinter's been kidnapped. Guys, Shredder's been kidnapped.
Well, remember, Joe, there was basically 80s story structure in video games in general. Like, X has been kidnapped. Go save.
Hey guys,
Yeah?
No. The story of X2 was X was
You
had
know-
to resurrect the pieces of Zero to restore him.
True.
you know one piece of Turtles behavior that I think gets not enough love.
What?
The caveat of our spells. I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, coming out of our shows.
Can we not?
I was just banging on some sewer pipes.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that like a musical or something?
Basically, too, it's sort of like a mockumentary sort of thing. Like, it's kind of like a documentary, only it's one made in jest of the Turtles doing their swooping tour. You'd think that would have been a slam dunk to make something out of. It was not. A lot of people found it lame, and a lot of people found it to be grating.
That being said, Joe, for as much Cowabunga, I do actually prefer the other phrase that they have for when we respond. Let it shell.
Yes, what the police siren said.
And also, how fitting. We're commentating on a series based in New York, and we have 2 New Yorkers here with us.
Uh-huh.
Jesus Christ, I can definitely see the arcade cheapness factor starting to ramp up.
Yep.
I mean,
Well, Teo, gotta make it. Well, Teo, gotta make it.
But I need to squeeze those quarters.
especially considering this was an incredibly popular franchise at the time. So yeah, squeeze all that money out of the kids' parents.
I'm actually curious, Pedro. Did you ever try the quarter on I forgot the term.
Quarter on a string.
Yeah, the quarter on a string trick.
That doesn't work there because
Actually, it can if you know
early
what
on
you're
it
doing.
did. The arcade.
Well, it doesn't work. Why? Because the employees will catch you, and yeah, it would be trouble.
Pedro. The idea is to do it with the right angle. Have the string hidden
Sure.
by your leg, and boom, it worked all the
The
time.
thing is that eventually the arcade machine factories essentially caught on it and implemented countermeasures.
Yeah. Then, yeah. I can't believe I was alive around the time when that trick was actually possible. But nowadays, you use cards given to you at, like, the booths to work arcade cabinets.
Basically, yeah.
They're more high-tech nowadays.
Jesus Christ, these robot bosses are resilient.
Trust me. Yeah, the bosses in this game are hard as balls. And he explodes.
Well, he's a
Glorious
robot,
fashion.
so...
You know, speaking of arcade cabinets, it's funny how things have gone full circle.
This was quick.
Thank you, my turtle.
Again, couldn't you at the very least? Oh, I love the name of this mission. Let me read this. They can fly perfectly. Scene 5. We gotta find a Technodrome. Wait, we gotta find
We're
a Technodrome.
inside of
You're
it.
in it.
Inside a Technodrome right now.
It has to be a mistranslation.
Yeah, probably a mistranslation, but I just find it so hilarious. Like,
Where was this
quick,
game
quick,
made?
quick. 89.
Japan.
No, what there?
Japan.
Japan.
It was about Konami, but Konami
Remember
had
this,
exclusive,
I mentioned this in the past about many arcade games were essentially, built in with the English language done in the country of production. So even Japanese ones usually
Hang on.
use some English.
Hang on a second. Where's the level where you swim through an incredibly narrow path
Also,
No, thank you.
how'd you get a...
Thank
with the electrified ceiling?
This is a beat 'em up, not a platformer, dudes.
Also, that sounds terrible.
It
It
is.
is terrible. The first NES game is terrible. Fortunately, for the second game, they ported this one to the NES. It wasn't like a particularly great port because they had to make a lot of compromises because of the limitations in the NES. But this is at least better than Turtles 3 was much better though. Like since it was an actually original game made specifically for the NES and made in the vein of the arcade game. So it was, but of course, back in the day, the best Turtles game to play on consoles was Turtles in Time, and I was
Anyway, Anyway, as I was saying, it's funny how things have gone full circle. See, back in the day, a lot of console games were kind of just ports of arcade games, whereas nowadays, a lot of arcade games feel like, quartered ports of actual console games. Well, at places like Dave & Buster's.
Okay, guys, come on, let's try to find the Technodrome that we're actually already inside in.
Well,
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Joe. I actually went on the arcade machine and that.
oh yeah, there's also a Mario
Well,
Kart
that game's
arcade
kind of
cabinet,
weird
too.
now because the Olympics has been delayed till next year.
It's like this would be like at the end of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Tails was like, "Come on, Sonic, we gotta find the defect."
Tails, you do know it's literally right there. In fact,
Maybe
we're kind
Future
of
Prince
inside
the
of
game
it
will
now.
have the date changed.
I would laugh if they do that.
Oh, Jesus.
Wait, do what?
The
No,
2020 Olympics have been postponed until next year, so...
No, I meant this whole date change, I meant the whole thing about getting lost
Oh,
in the
for,
defect.
Remember
for
these,
future releases of Sonic and Mario or
Mario and
whatever,
Sonic games
2020.
at the Olympics tend to have the date.
It's going to be
on
such
Oh
the-
yeah,
It's going to
Might
be
as well
such a
do awesome.
shame, though, now, because this means that the Olympics will no longer be in our leap years. It was always a nice constant with that.
I will some trivia. This particular game was never ported to the Super Nintendo. It was, in fact, it was only re-released later in the Dejimon. What game was it?
Which one?
The game that actually had this game as a bonus, emulated. Which one was it?
Battle for the Nexus?
Yes, it was a game for I think PS2 and GameCube, I think.
Yeah.
And it had this game as a bonus. However, it was an altered version with new voice acting clips, and removed some product placement signs in front. The version I'm playing is the original arcade version, as the developers thanks to Main.
What? Hey Pedro, what are you playing this on anyway?
Main.
Oh, so you're emulating this one.
Well, it's the only way we can play the original version, Jova.
Yeah, all of these are going to be emulated, Jova.
Well, Jova, most arcade games...
Oh, it's cranked.
Yeah, Krang. Well, Jova, that's the problem. Because of a lot of copyright issues and limbo, like a shit, and I mean a shit ton of arcade games have never been and most likely will never be re-released. That's the sad part. So we have to rely on emulation for those. Like this one, for example, Konami re-released this game twice. Once in that game that we just mentioned, and another time on the Xbox Live, but even then they eventually delisted that again because apparently they lost the license. I think it was to Ubisoft that they lost the license, if I remember correctly.
I just like the Simpsons arcade.
They released the Simpsons arcades?
Yeah.
Okay, but is that still available though? Or has it been delisted as well?
Delisted as well.
Delisted.
Yeah. So basically, Joe.
Also, the name of the game was called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Battle Nexus. It was released on the Xbox One. The original Xbox.
Yes, yes.
GameCube, Windows, and
Thank you for the distinction, Desi.
Okay, you know what's funny? So, a guy for a Microsoft representative accidentally confused the Xbox One X with the Xbox Series X.
Oh no!
And then less
Well,
than
so
a
even
minute
their own
later,
staff can't do it.
and less than a minute later, he said that he was asked why they call it Xbox Series X. It's because they didn't want to confuse people with the name.
Gee, then what the hell was happening in 2013? But anyway, to
Yeah, also, yeah, they got dragged for the initial reveal.
But yeah, Jova, as they just told us about the Simpsons arcade game, yeah, we cannot rely on these gaming companies to maintain their arcade games affordable. We have to rely on emulation sadly.
I actually do wonder
Unless
who
it's a
has
Capcom Disney game.
I actually do wonder who has the rights, the TMNT game license nowadays.
Now it's time to take on the man himself,
Maybe
Shredder.
it's
All three of
THQ?
him.
Nordic.
Well, he is a ninja, so
I think it actually is. The THQ Nordic now has the Nickelodeon package, so...
Yeah. Yeah, we see Shredder without his helmet.
Oh my.
yeah. I know who you are, Oruko Saki.
Jesus.
Yes.
Oh no, he has
Yes, yes, I know who
lightning
you
powers.
are. You know my name. What's so special about that?
Well, it makes sense in context why he says that one.
So I guess the real one is the one without the helmet.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing too. Even the copies can lose their helmets. So the way you distinguish there is that the one that has damage in, I think it's in yellow. if I'm
Red,
correct,
no?
or is it red? They're like, no, they just turn red when they disappear. Whatever. Me and my brother, we just killed all of them until they disappeared. Just keep mashing your button until you win.
I wonder if it's the one
and he
that
has an
shoots
attack,
lightning.
and he has a demutation ray that mutates us back into normal turtles, which also counts as a kill. So be careful if he shoots that ray.
That
There we go,
noise he
almost
makes
there.
when he gets it. No, no, no.
Yeah, the voice acting is quite funny.
There we go.
Well, time to go. We beat you. That means your place is about to blow up.
Of course, beating the bad guy causes the fortress to explode because reasons.
And I guess that means Shredder's
Alright,
dead.
and the epilogue. Freaked the Foots, mangled the Mousers, and totaled the Technodrome. That's Turtle Power! But what about the Shredder and Krang? Burned to toast? Vaporized to milkshake? Or escaped to Dimension X?
Don't you mean Dimension X?
Dimension X? Until we know, none of us can sleep safely in our beds. Shells. Sorry, guys, we can't spell English for shit. And there we go. That was the end. So yeah, Krang and Shredder are dead, possibly,
Yep.
maybe. So yeah, that was it.
Alright. Oh, can I go first for final thoughts?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it looks alright. I mean, it's an arcade game, so typically it's a bit short. But you know, I mean, you do what you typically expect from a game based on the TMNT. You know, you slice things, you do ninja stuff, and you know, boy, I can't wait till the next game where we find out just what this Dimension X really is.
It's time travel, basically.
Yeah, and also Dimension X sounds pretty cool as well.
So, Deji, what do you think of this one?
That looks interesting. I should probably get around to playing it one day.
Alright, Shirei.
Pretty much the same. It serves its purpose. In relation to the franchise it's for, it's fine. It's just a little difficult to talk about all these arcade games because they're pretty samey, honestly.
They are.
But it doesn't seem bad in any way. It seems fun enough.
Yeah, we have to remember that this was a much simpler time where just beating the crap out of the bad guys as our favorite characters back when we were kids. That was pretty much the main appeal of these games. They were simple, but they were a product of their time. Teo, what do you think?
It's nice enough. Like I said, it's the simplistic nature gives it the better excuse to be one's first beat 'em up. But in general, it's a nice, short, relatively short, and a good experience. The only real stick is the fact that you can choose the character. You need to have a preset depending on the player, which I can imagine it led to a lot of dickery in the arcade rooms.
Basically, the way that would be Joe, is that depending on who wants to be who, they have to be player.
Yeah. I know that, but again, it probably meant a lot of player dickery. But in general, fine enough.
All right. For me, it's just again, like I said, the game is a bit way too simplistic even for the time because it has only one. But it's 1999 though, so I guess you can argue that this was one of the early ones. Because games like Cadillacs and Moonwalker only came out later. So yeah, I guess to be in its fairness, this is one of the earlier ones, so I guess it has that excuse. But no, presentation-wise, it's pretty much flawless. Like it perfectly captures the spirit of the original '80s cartoon, even down to the incredibly cheesy dialogue. And even the voice acting, despite not being the voice actors from the show, it's still adorably cheesy. So no harm, no foul. So there's that, and it's really fun. I kind of wish Konami would get off their asses and actually release this, but I don't think they will.
I mean, they don't really have the rights to it anymore.
Well, they did make the game, so they must have some kind of stake in this game. They did make it.
Unfortunately, the one who calls the shots are the ones who own the TMNT license.
No, I know that, but if this game were to be re-released, Konami would have to be somewhat involved, right?
I point you towards the Sonic and Knuckles legal consequences, and that's something that Sega actually owned.
Not to mention the Turtles' entire remake was done by Ubisoft, not Konami.
All right, so yeah, that's about it. It's good for its time, but yeah, there are, to be fair, unless you're a really big fan of the Turtles like I am, specifically the '80s cartoon, there's not that much for you here. There are better arcade beat 'em ups. Joe,
like Scott Pilgrim versus the. Oh wait.
Oh, I still have that game on my PS3.
Aren't you lucky? I never got the chance to play it.
Deji, the internet is your friend. Just saying.
What goes on the internet stays on the internet.
Exactly. Go ahead, Joe. Close this out.
Yes, this most certainly is a video game starring the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, I'd say what this game excels at the most is definitely having an identity in its presentation here. As far as beat 'em ups or side scrolls go, it's pretty by the numbers, but you know what? It works with its stuff properly. It feels like you're playing as the Turtles here and there, and looks, feels, and everything, right down to having Bebop and Rocksteady not being able to take a hint and just give up. Going up against the Mousers and Baxter, April getting kidnapped, Splinter getting kidnapped, rocket powered skateboards. Yeah, that's definitely stuff you'd see in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle adventure. well done on this one. Well done.
Indeed. Alright, everybody, see you for TMNT 2. Turtles in Time.
So yeah.
Yeah.
See ya.
Sure.